Okay, so this is going to be a walkthrough of your Chapter 7 Excel. So you will need to have your Excel case template open, and we're going to start on Chapter 7's walkthrough. All right, so this is the case study cost of financing, pay now or pay later. We're going to walk through this. I'm not going to do question 3. So we'll work on question 1 and question 2. The first thing I want to do is read through it and find out what they're asking for, and then set it up, and then I'll go through the questions themselves. So in this one, they're talking about the purchasing auto insurance, and it says Quick Courier Service is about to purchase insurance for its new delivery van, and it's going to be coverage for the next 12 months. So I'm just going to start putting this together. So he's going to look at insurance, and it's going to be, it looks like the full year premium is $4,000, and it's going to be for a certain number of months. Okay, and it's going to be 12 months. And then we're going to be looking at some interest rates in here. So maybe I'll stick the interest rates before the month. So I'm right mouse button and click. I'm going to insert a row, and then I'm going to put in interest rate. Because I know that they're going to ask me for an interest rate, but I'm leaving a gap there so that we can do that. So my insurance is $4,000. I'll just make that a $sign. And it's for 12 months. Okay, so that's all about the rest of them. So they have 3 different plans. So they will have a couple of plans, and I've looked through it and decided that the way I want to set it up. So I'm going to work with plan 1 individually and plan 2 individually, and then I'll do the questions as they go, because the questions relate to what is the the future value of all 3 plans. So I looked at it, I examined it, and decided that I wanted to separate out the plans this way. So plan 1 requires a full year's premium. So in that case, they're going to ask for a full premium, and they're asking for a full premium of $4,000, and it's to be paid at the beginning of the year. And yeah, it's a beginning. Okay, so it's paid at the beginning. Plan 2, so I'll just move on down there and type in the word plan 2. Plan 2 allows for installments. So it's going to have installments, and it says it's going to allow for 2 installments. And the first installment is immediately. So the installment or payment, so let's call it PMT, their first payment, or sorry, I should call it payment number 1, shouldn't I? Payment number 1. And that's immediately, so that's at time 0, so right now. And it says that and would be half of the amount of the annual premium. I should put the installment amounts in there too. I'll do that. So installments, there's 2. And I think what I'll do is do an insert again because I missed that. So let's put in how much the installment is for. And the installment says it's going to be 2, so that equals the full premium, or the insurance itself, divided by the installments that we have. So that's in B31 there. So if I look, it's my installments, which is my insurance there, divided by the number of installments that I had. So that's $2,000. So I'll go back to where we've put it. My payment 1 is at time 0, and I'm just going to scroll up here and see, which is immediately. And that amounts to a half of the annual premium plus a $60 surcharge. So I better put in the surcharge in there. And I'll do that in a minute. That is a service or surcharge, service charge, and that's $60. Okay. And the second installment is paid in 6-month time and would amount to the remaining half of the premium. So the surcharge is on top there, and then the other one is at times 6. Okay, so payment 2 is at 6 months. Okay, so there's a surcharge of $60. I'll put that in there. These are times, there's 2 of them. Okay, so we have plan 1 and plan 2 in there. And then we have plan 3. So plan 3 allows for 12 equal monthly payments of $335 each. The payments would be made at the same date within each month, starting immediately. Okay, so let's just talk about plan 3. So plan 3 is a payments. So we're making payments. We're going to make 12 of them. So 12 is a number of payments. And our payment is going to be $355. Okay, so we have our values in here. I'll make that $1 because it's $355. Oh, and it's going to be beginning, whoops, and it's at time 0. So beginning immediately. I guess I could put that in there. Beginning, and it's at time 0. So beginning right away. So right away. So we're not holding off, we're not paying it later. So these are the plans. I will just box them, I guess. Maybe I'll just put an outside border. I could make them more pretty. And I got those 3 plans going on. I will fill that across and do a merge and center, and maybe I'll bold the plans because they're individual. So I'll fill across, merge and center, and then bold it. And I'll do the same for this one. I'll merge and center, and I'll bold it. So I could make them colorful if I want. I should put in a color coding system as before. So I will do that. I'll just go down here and put it down here. Maybe I will go and look at my chapter 6 that I had, and I'll just copy over the color code. So I'll just copy that. This is from the chapter 6 that we just did, and I will copy it. I'll go to chapter 7, and then what I'll do is I'll just paste that in there. And we now know. Okay, so far the input is green, just to make sure I know which green it is. So I have some input cells here that I did an input on. So I obviously did insurance input on that one. And I did it on that one. I did the premiums there was an input cell. My installments I did an input cell on. My installment number I did a calculated field. And of course these 3 I entered. And these 3 I entered. And this one here, this installment is a calculated field, so it's blue. So I will find the right blue. It's pretty close. There we go. Okay, so now that I've got my color coding, I've entered the information from the question or from the actual scenario. I haven't done anything else yet. I haven't started on my questions. So I'm just going to save that, and we'll continue on with the questions. Okay, so let's start on question 1. So question 1 says, and I'll just drop that down so I don't have to go so far. Suppose Quick Courier Service could earn 4% per annum simple interest on its money over the next year. Assume the premium payment is due today, the first day of the insurance policy term, and the focal date is 1 year from today, so 12 months. Ignore all taxes. Compute the cost to Quick courier for paying the insurance using each of the 3 payment plans. Okay, so let's start with question 1. Question 1. Oops, not that. Let's try that again. Question 1, I'm going to bold that because it's question 1. Maybe I'll center it too to make it look good. Okay, so the interest rate for them was 4%. So we have 4% per annum. And it says that it's going to be, the first payment's due today, and it's 1 year from today. So we have 12 months. So I'll just put it on the months line. So we're going to look at Plan 1. So in Plan 1, maybe I should put them all the way across, but we'll see how that goes. So in Plan 1, they have a full premium of $4,000. So what we need to do is we need to find the future value because the focal point is going to be 1 year from today. So we're going to use simple interest and try and find the focal, or using 1 year from today as the focal point. We're looking for the future value. Okay, so in this one, we're going to compute it using, we're going to click on the cells, and we'll be still using our simple interest formula for future value. So we start with equals. That equals our $4,000. And there's no fee or anything like that. And that's times bracket 1 plus, and we'll use a bracket, and we'll click on the 4% times, and it's 1 year. So it's 12 out of 12 months. So we can put 1 in there, I guess, for 1 year, or times 1, and close. Okay, so we have our full premium starting from 0 all the way up to 12, says that we have a full year paying 4%. Okay, so that is our first answer for question 1. Question 2, we're looking for the future value. So we know that we have an installment. We have 2 installments. So we have 2 payments. We're going to end up in our 2 payments with a total. Maybe I should add a total in there. So I think maybe I will insert in here because I will need a total, and I'll put the word total in there, and I'll fix my thing so that it looks a little bit better, and I want that cleared, so I'm going to just clear out of that formats. And maybe I'll do the same here. Clear all, and it should have cleared my formats there, but I'll put total back in there. Okay, so payment 1, what we're doing is for payment 1, we're taking the $2,000 plus the service charge. That's going to be our present value, and we're going to move it forward to our focal point, and our focal point is going to be at time 12. So the first one, we're going to go that equals, and in this, because I'm going to do an addition, so I have $2,000, which is there, plus, oops, not equals, so let's do a plus the service charge, because they said there's a service charge on top of that. Okay, so I put a bracket times bracket 1 plus, and we're going to move that all the way forward. So we have our $2,000, and that was the $2,000 plus the $60. Our interest rate is 4% times, and for this we're going to go a full 12 months, right? So 12 months forward, so it's 12 times 12, which is 1. Okay, so, oops, I didn't like that very much, but that's okay. I can fix that. I'm going to make that a comma style. So I just left out a bracket, I guess. Yeah, I did. So if I look at it, it should have a bracket here and here. It's not going to change it, but that's fine. And this next payment is going to still be $2,000. I don't have the service charge for that one, but it's going to be $2,000 because it's a second installment. And it's only going to be, at 6 months. So it's going to go forward 6 months of the year. So we'll do that. So that equals the installment times bracket 1 plus bracket our 4% times our 6 months, and we'll divide that by the number of months total. Okay, so let's close that twice, and we end up with 2040. We'll put that as a comma style as well. Now our total here is we're going to add those two up. Okay, so that equals that plus that. And this here, I'll put a dollar sign so that I remember, is our total amount of the cost of that premium. Okay, so we've got 2 of them done, and we'll do plan 3. So plan 3 says we have 12 payments. We have an individual payment. We're beginning at time 0. Now, this is going to be the first one that we're actually going to use the function and formulas in Excel for. It's going to be pretty close to what we are looking at. So what we're going to do is we'll use the function, the formula for that's in Excel, so the future value formula. Okay. So we have a future value. So we're going to go that equals the future value. So this is a function. It's called future value function. I'm going to put a bracket in there, and then I will put in a tab. Oops, opening and closing. I meant to do something different. So I have the future value with the bracket, and I'm going to go up here to my function, insert function. Now in my insert function button, I'm going to look at the values that I have here and do some calculations, and Excel will do it for me. So for this case, when we have our rates, we know that we have 4%. It's 4% per annum, but we're paying every month. So I'm going to divide that by 12, okay? Now, because our interest rate is going to be a monthly interest rate, my NPER, that stands for the number of payment periods in the investment. I know that I have 12 months, 12 payment periods. If it was in years, I might need to multiply it by months, but we know that we have 12 payments, okay? The next line down says payments. What are your payments? Well, I have to put my payments in as a negative value, and the reason I have to do that is because we can't have a negative value or a positive value coming out as a positive number, because either we have a present value, which is a lump sum, and we're paying it off with monthly payments, so that's causing it to go down. So our payments are a negative, so it's cash out, right? So we're going to put our payment in as a negative, so a negative, and we'll go down and click on the payment cell that we have, okay? The other thing that's in here is we could have had a present value, so that would mean that maybe we put down a little bit of money as well, and that would go right there. And the other thing is type. Now, we haven't gotten to this yet, but they said in the question that it's beginning immediately. So in type, it says that we type in a value representing the timing of the payment. So payments at the beginning of the period, we type in a 1. If they're at the end of the period, then we would leave it blank. For now, they've told us it's in the beginning. I know that it needs to go there, so I'm going to put it in there. We haven't gotten to that yet, but it's good to know. So now I have a number, a value down here that says my answer is $4,353.44. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm good with that. And that's my other answer. So now in my question 1, if I box that in, I'll just put in a box and I will give my answers. So my answers are yellow. So I'm going to find my yellow. That's an answer. That's an answer, and that's an answer. And these two here are calculated fields. So they're going to be that blue that I'm working with. It's a little too bright. Close enough. Okay, so now we have in plan 2, so question 1, in plan 1, 2, and 3. So we've done question 1, and we'll start on question 2. Okay, so before I move on, what I want to do is I want to create a table for plan 3 in this case. Now, the reason I want to do that is because I'm going to end up with a little bit of a different number. I used the future value formula for that, but I would like to show you how we would put it in a table quite simply. We would get close to the same number, but not exact. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here, and I will move that back up there. And so I'm going to create a table. So I'll put it over here. So I'll just call it table for plan 3, and it's actually going to be question 1. So what we're going to do here is I will put the information that's important here. So we know that we have a payment of $355. We know that the interest was 4%. And then I'm going to create the table. So we would have our payment number. And then we're going to calculate what is the future value of that payment. Okay. So my payment, I'll just bold that, I'll just make it a little bit prettier, and I will merge and center that, maybe bold that as well. Okay, so I have payment number 1, payment number 2, etc. So what I'll do is I'll just highlight those two, and then I will use my fill and go down because I know I have 12 payments, okay? So I'm just going to go till it says 12. And then I'm going to compute the future value of this, okay? So the future value of the payment, so if we think of a timeline, we had payment 1, the future value is moving forward to 12. So I'm going to create a future value formula using absolute cell referencing, so I only have to create it once. So I'll start with equals, and if we use the formula S equals P, so this is my P, my payment, and I'm going to F4 that, which means it's going to absolute cell reference that, and it will stay. When I fill the formula down, it will stay in that cell, okay? So I can keep that there. So it's going to be absolute cell reference times, so that's my principal, times bracket 1 plus bracket my interest rate. So I'll click on my interest rate, and I also have my interest rate right there, and I'm going to F4 that so it stays right there. So when I fill down, it will just fill in the answers. And then it will stay right in that cell there. Times, and then I will use this cell here to say it's 1, and it'll be divided by 12. So I could choose to have months. I could put a number of months up there, which was probably been a better idea, but I didn't. So now I've created my formula. So my formula is S equals P times 1 plus rate times time, okay, and I cell referenced it. So when I enter that, I'm going to change that to a comma so it shows cents. So now it says payment 1 of $355 grows to become, the future value of that is $356.18 by time 12, by the end of the year. So then if I can fill those down, and they have done, and I'll just double check one. So my payment number 9 moved forward only from 9 to 12, so 3 months, and my payment was still $355 and my interest rate was 4%. So now I will use the word total in here, and I'm just going to use an auto sum and sum up the future value of all those payments. Okay, and it's got a dollar sign, so I just needed to make it a little bit bigger. And that is the future value of all of those payments. Now you'll notice that there is a little bit of a difference. If I use the future value formula, then I end up with $4,353.44. But if I use the actual individual payments, I end up with $4,352.33. Sorry, $4,352.30. So it could be that we could have our first payment. Yes, it was our first payment, but it started immediately. So maybe now that we see that, I'm looking at it going, you know what, it should be closer than that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change these numbers and say it's at our payment 0. So I'll make it at time 0. And I'll push enter. And this one would be at time 1. And then what I'll do is I'll just fill those down and we'll see if we can get closer. Because now, see, that one went a little too far. So even at 0, if we said we're going forward for 0, it's at 355, so it would go 0 to 12. So that doesn't make any sense. So because mathematically it doesn't work, we can't use that because 355 moved forward 12 periods. We would have to fix that. So that's why we have to keep it the way it is. The one thing we could do is say it's going forward a full amount, but what I'll do is I'll just change that back to 1 and 2. So mathematically we can't do it like that. Okay, so we will leave that there and move on to the next question. So I will create I'll just make that box it in. And I will put in my codes for input. So my input in this one is going to be that green. My input in that one is going to be my green. And then I'm just checking my calculated field. So all of these are calculated. And that's that blue. And my payments are actually inputted. So those are going to be the green. All right, so we created a table. We're actually going to end up probably creating a table for that same question for question 3. So we'll do it 2 ways. We'll sort of do it using this way, and then I'll probably create a table over there for that as well. And we should be able to see how to do it a few different ways. Okay, so let's start on question 2. So I will put question 2 right here. And then we will figure out what all the information is that we need for question 2. And let's look here. So suppose Quick Courier Service expects to earn 2.5% per annum simple interest on any money it invests in the first 3 months of the year. Okay, so let's just put that here. So it says it's going to earn 2.5% for the first 3 months of this year and 1.8% on any money it invests during the rest of the year. So 1.8%. And for the rest, so that would be for 9 months, hey? So I'll just fill this one across so that we have our merge and center, and I'll bold it. So because we have two interest rates, I wanted to separate them out. So we got 2.5 for the first 3 months and then 1.8 for the next month. So then it wants to know which option, plan 1, 2, or 3, will have the least cost for the company, and the focal date is 1 year from today. Okay, so we're going to somewhat do the same thing. We will have to add them together because it's sort of like a timeline, and we're going to move one forward and add it to the next. So if we have a full premium of $4,000, so I will put that started here. We're going to take our $4,000, so that equals our interest rate, our future value, so our sum. So we're looking at the present value. And I will make that an absolute cell reference so that it will reference that cell again. Yeah. No. Actually, now that I think about it, I'm not going to absolute cell reference that. Because what's going to happen is if we had to think of a timeline, our money is going to grow. That full premium of $4,000 is actually going to grow for the first 3 months at 2.5%. And then that will become the present value that will grow at 1.8. So we can only grow it at 2.5% for the first 3 months. So that's what I'll do. So we have B27, which is the full premium. And it is going to be times bracket 1 plus bracket our interest rate of 2.5 times 3 months divided by our total number of months. Okay, so we've got that, and we will close both brackets so that we've said that B12 is our P, B27 is our B, times 1 plus our interest rate, which is 2.5%, times time, which is 3 out of 12 months. So I'll push enter. And what happens is our 4,000 grew to 4,025 by month 3. Now this $4,025 is actually going to grow some more, but it's going to grow for 9 more months at 1.8%. So this is going to become my present value. So I will say that equals this present value times bracket 1 plus bracket my interest rate times my number of months that it's going to grow by divided by the total number of months. Okay. So what happened here is for the next for our values grew to, our money of 4,000 grew to become $4,079.38 for, because it sat in the account for the first 3 months, making 2.5%. And then after that, it grew at 1.8% for the following 9 months. So this ends up being our present value for to grow at the next 9 months. So I'm going to change that to a dollar sign. And that's actually our answer. I'm just checking my answers are yellow. So I'm going to make that my answer. Okay, so that's the answer for this question. And this is an in-term calculation. So because it's an in-term calculation, we'll make it a calculated field. So it is a calculated field. Let's do that. All right. So now that's happened. It's moved forward. It grew to become 7,079. So you'll notice the difference. In question 1, it grew at 4%. And it grew to become $4,160, but because it was such a low interest rate and it dropped dramatically after 3 months, it's a much lower number. Okay, so let's try Plan 2. So Plan 2 has 2 payments, payment 1 at 0, payment 2 at 6 months, so that's right away, and then at 6 months. So what we're going to do here is we're going to see how much that grows, and then we'll have a total down here that we can add up. Okay, so our interest rate, so we'll start here, and we have our $2,000 is our present value times bracket 1 plus bracket again 2.5%. So at that interest rate, and it's going to go for 3 months, okay, at this interest rate. We also have to bop that forward for the last 9 months as well. We have to do the same thing we did with that $4,000, but we're going to do it with the $2,000, the individual one. So times 3 divided by our months, and I will close that twice. So what happened is my $2,000, it's not going to go all the way till the end of the year, but it will, my installments will grow for the first 3 months at 2.5%, and then for the next 9 months it will grow at 1.8. Okay, so now I'm going to grow that money, the same one, forward at 1.8%, so that equals, this is my present value, times bracket 1 plus bracket the interest rate of 1.8% times 9 months divided by my total number of months, and I'll close my brackets twice. Okay, so both of these I'm going to make into comma style. They're in term. We haven't completed it yet. So that was my first $2,000 payment. My second $2,000 payment is going to be the future value of the $2,000. So it'll be $2,000 times bracket 1 plus bracket. It's going to grow at 1.8 because it has 9 months to grow there, but in this case it's only going to grow at 1.8% for 6 months. Times, in this case we're going to select our 6 months, divided by our total number, and we can close brackets. So this $2,000, the second installment, oh, we forgot the $60. Okay, I'll fix that $60. I forgot to add the $60 up here, but I'll do that. So our second installment will grow to become, I'll click that, $2,018. And what that's done is it says that the $2,000 grew at 1.8%, which is very little, and it grew that way for 6 months. So our total equals, and I'll fix this, this plus this is $4,057, but I did make a mistake here and I forgot the $60 surcharge. Okay, so I'm just going to fix that. I'll double click and show you what I'm going to do. I have to add the surcharge to the first payment. Okay, so I got B32 plus this cell here, our service charge is going to be our present value of that. So we have to add that service charge in there. And then we can find out that it's going to cost us $4,000, or the cost of it is going to end up being $4,118.86. If we do it question 2-way, using 2.5% for 3 months and then 1.8 for 9 months. So that is going to be an answer. These two are intern. This one is comma style, intern. And this is going to be one of the answers. And these, all of these are going to be filled in. So that's where we're going to enter our data from. And this one here, actually, I should make it a answer as well. All right. So we've got that. we're also going to have to do question 3. And question 3, or sorry, plan 3. We will look at plan 3. And plan 3, we have to do pretty much the same thing as we did before. I'm going to end up creating a table, and we'll sort of do it both ways. So the first thing we're going to look at is that we're going to use the future value formula the way we did here, and then we'll be able to compare the differences in them using the future value. So if I look here, I want to see where I'm going to go. So I'll put it down in the payments line here. We have a payments of $355. So that is going to be 3 payments actually, because we'll make it at 1, 2, and 3. And then we will take that and it will grow, and then we'll finish the rest of them. Okay, so we're going to use the future value payment, future value, and I'll do a bracket, and then I'll come up here into my FX. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is my rate. So I see my rate up here is going to be 2.5%. It's divided by 12 because there's going to be 12 months in there. And the number of payments we're going to have is going to be 3. Okay, so we'll have 3 payments. Our payment is going to be on this cell here. So we're putting in our payment. And our payment type is going to be 1 because we're going to have it at the beginning. So if I read the question, I'm just going to read the question that says, suppose they expect to earn simple interest in the first 3 months of this year. So, okay, yep, that's good. And then we'll just say okay. So I forgot, the one thing I did forget, and see how it put it in as a negative value? I forgot to put my payment in as a negative. There's a couple of choices that I can do here. I can put the whole negative, I can put a negative at the beginning of my future value, or I can put a negative at my payment, okay? So I will put it at the, I'll just open this up, and I will put my payment is a negative, okay? And so my payment's in as a negative. Now what's going to happen is my 1,064, pretend it's a lump sum, will now grow for the last 9 months. So I will use the simple interest formula that says equals the present value, which is this value here, times bracket 1 plus bracket my interest rate, which is up here, times 9 months divided by 12. And, whoops, I forgot a second bracket in there. Yes, so I have to just make sure I got the right bracket. So I got a bracket, bracket, bracket. They fixed it for me. That's good. All right, so they grew. Our 1,069 grew at 1.8% for the last 9 months. All right. Now what we have is we have the rest of the payments. Okay, the rest of the payments of $355. So in that case, I'm going to have equals future value bracket, and I'll come up here into my FX. And I know my rate is 1.8%. It's going to be monthly, so I'll divide that by 12. The number of payments I have left are 9 payments left. And I have a negative, and I'll stick my payments in there. And then it is a type 1 because it's at the beginning of the period. So I end up with $3,219. And my total, if I sum that, I'll just use an auto sum and add them both up. gives me $4,302.94. Oops. Oh, that should be good. And I will do that's an answer. And then these guys are interim calculations. And so is this. Okay. What I will do as well is I'm going to create the table over here to do it not using the future value formula, but for each individual payment. It's going to take a bit more because we have to move them each individually forward to a specific time until the interest rates change, and then we will move it forward from there. So we'll see there's going to be a difference, and that difference is because the future value formula assumes a compound interest. We're using a simple interest, so that's why we're going to see a big difference, or a bit of a difference. Okay, so this one is question 2, and we'll stop. Put that as a square, and then I'll come over here and do question 2 as a table as well.